So, picture this. I'm just trying to enjoy a quiet weekend at my lake cabin. A place I built with my own hands, far from the hustle and bustle of city life. The sun is setting, the water is calm, and I'm about to crack open a cold drink. Suddenly, there's this frantic knocking at my door. I open it to find a woman, let's call her Karen, looking like she just saw a ghost. She's pointing a shaky finger at me and practically screeching, "You can't be here. This is private property." I'm the head of the HOA. I just stare at her, completely baffled. I try to explain that this is my cabin, on my land, but she's not having any of it. She pulls out her phone and says she's calling the cops. I'm just standing there, thinking, seriously, this is how my peaceful weekend is going to go. She's on the phone, telling the 911 operator that they're a squatter who has taken over one of the community cabins and is being aggressive. Aggressive? I haven't even raised my voice. I just told her to have a nice day and tried to close my door. A short while later, 2 police cars roll up, sirens off, but lights flashing. 2 officers get out, looking professional but a little tired, like they've dealt with this kind of call 1,000 times. Karen rushes over to them, pointing at me and my cabin, her voice getting louder and more dramatic with every word. She's painting this picture of me as some dangerous intruder who is threatening the peace and safety of her precious community. One of the officers, a guy named Officer Miller, calmly walks over to me. He asks for my side of the story. I pull out my phone, show him the digital deeds to the property, the tax records, everything. I explain that I own this land, the cabin, and, well, pretty much everything else as far as the eye can see. He looks at my documents, then back at Karen, who is now tapping her foot impatiently. He asks me to wait a moment and goes to talk to his partner. They have a quiet conversation, occasionally glancing at their in-car computer. I can see Karen getting more and more agitated. She probably thinks they're figuring out the best way to arrest me. After a few minutes, Officer Miller comes back over. He hands me back my phone and says, "Sir, I am so sorry for the disturbance. Your ownership is crystal clear." Then he turns towards Karen, and his whole demeanor changes. His voice becomes firm, official. "Ma'am," he says, "you need to leave this property immediately." Karen's jaw just drops. She sputters. "What?" "But he's the trespasser. I'm the HOA president." The officer just shakes his head. "No, ma'am. He owns this entire parcel. In fact, he owns the land your HOA is built on. You are the one who is trespassing right now." The look on her face was absolutely priceless. It was a mixture of shock, disbelief, and pure, unadulterated rage. She started arguing. "Of course, that's impossible. I'll have his membership revoked. I'll sue him." The officer held up a hand to stop her. "Ma'am, you made a false 911 report. That's a serious offense. We could charge you for wasting police resources. Now, I suggest you go home before you make this situation any worse for yourself." Her face went from red to pale white in about 2 seconds. She shot me a look that could curdle milk, spun on her heel, and stomped back to her golf cart without another word. As the officers were leaving, Officer Miller gave me a little nod. "Have a good night, sir, and enjoy your cabin." I thanked them for their professionalism, and just like that, they were gone. I finally got back to my porch, my drink now slightly warm, and just looked out at the lake. The peace and quiet had returned. It was a wild interruption, but I have to admit, watching that HOA Karen realize she'd picked a fight with the guy who literally owns her entire world was a special kind of satisfying. The next day, I got a call. It was from the management company that oversees the HOA on my behalf. Turns out, word had spread like wildfire. Karen had apparently tried to rally the other board members, but when they found out the truth, they were horrified. The management company informed me that Karen had been asked to step down as president, effective immediately. They were incredibly apologetic and assured me it would never happen again. I even got a formal, written apology from the HOA board a week later. It was stiff and legal sounding, but the message was clear. They knew they messed up. As for Karen, I haven't seen or heard from her since. I guess she learned a valuable lesson about making assumptions and not bothering people on their own property. Sometimes, the best way to deal with a Karen is to just let the facts speak for themselves. And in my case, the facts just happen to be that I own the whole city. Thanks for listening to my story, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you next time.